We're here at Eurobike in Germany, and we've expected that there's going to be a mountain of new e-bike developments, whether it be batteries, motors or displays. But has it delivered in terms of e-bike innovation? Let's dive in and find out. Now this is just one little corner on Hall A1 at Eurobike, and this is a company which is typical. This is from Shanghai in China, and it's a company called Ananda, and they've got a whole range of batteries and motors from hub drives all the way up to mid-drive units. You can see this unit here is 2.7 kilos, 250 or 350 watts, and then there's a bigger one which is 4.3 kilos, 250 or 500 watts. Now obviously there's a lot of brands from China and the Far East here at Hall A1, but this company, Fazua from Munich in Germany, possibly has one of the neatest. This is actually the battery and the motor combined. It is super neat. This fits in the down tube. I mean, check this out. There's your battery, your motor's located inside here, and then you have the torque and cadence sensors with all the communication parts right here, which fits on the bottom bracket. 4.6 kilos for the motor and the battery combined. Insanely lightweight. Right, I'm going to give you an example of the Fazua system. We're here with the Focus Raven Squared. Now, here is the motor and the battery combined. I want to point out it's a Swiss motor in this system, and it's made all in Germany. Super neat. So here you go. You slot the battery in, switch it on, and then simply, I hope it's simple. Oh my God, that is so easy. Oh my God, that's ridiculous. That's probably the simplest e-bike battery motor I've ever fitted. So then you just simply switch it on. Whoa, look at that. What a neat display. And then you have breeze, river, and rocket modes on this bike. 250 watt-hour battery, 60 Newton meters. And the key thing to this bike is that when you get past the 25 km/h restrictor, there actually is no restrictor. You can simply keep pedaling as you would a normal bike. Okay, so we're at the comp booth. Look at this little motor here, super neat, 2.6 kilos, either 250 watts or 350. Now, it's currently Japanese mechanical design made in China, but it seems that the manufacturer is going to be moving to the Czech Republic in the near future. So it's good to have another European motor manufacturer on board. So what am I doing with a chassis out of a BMW HP4, you might well ask? Well, I'm at the stand of Mubea, which is an Austrian brand who actually manufacture parts for such companies as McLaren F1. Now, when it comes to innovations, you don't really need to look much further than this stand. This is their new e-bike, 200 millimeters of travel, and it's got so many features on it, it's incredible. Now, as you'll notice, there's quite a significant down tube on this bike, and that's because it houses a 1200 watt-hour battery. You'll also see that this bike doesn't actually have a derailleur, and that's because the motor and gearbox are combined in the middle of the bike, and this is really big news. It's quite a big innovation when it comes to e-bikes. Now, when it comes to the motor, it can either be run as a 250 watt pedelec or 4,000 watts in throttle control. That is just bonkers, and I've never seen anything like it when it comes to e-bikes. So we'll have a look now at the actual motor and gearbox combined. Now, the pedaling and the motor are independent on this Mubea system, which means there's actually no resistance when you get past any restrictions whatsoever. Now, what we have here is actually the motor and the gearbox combined, under 5 kilos. Surely this is where e-bike innovation is going to be going in the future. Look at it, mental. Now, a bit of background on Mubea. They're from Austria, and they're all about sustainable transport, making simple, robust and reliable solutions when it comes to e-transport. Now, it's just lucky for us that a lot of the guys behind the company are into downhill and mountain bikes generally. So this bike here is 200 mil travel, I mean, I can't imagine the places you can go to on this bike. It's insane. It's not just downhill, they've also got a 160mm travel bike as well. As you can see, a one-piece swinging arm, belt drive, integrated lights, carbon bar and stem. I mean, it's got it all, really. Now, this is exciting news, a specific e-bike brake from TRP. Now, these are the brakes used by multiple World Cup downhill champion Aaron Gwyn. Let's go through the key characteristics of this new brake. 30% more material on the disc itself, which means that there's 15% more stiffness to this brake in terms of that lateral flex. And the key thing is 9% less heat buildup in this brake. Now, it's made up of, it's a 4-pot design made up of steel pistons, but the thing is there are ceramic pucks inside those pistons, which means the heat is not conducted through to the oil, thereby overheating the system. Now, you might have heard that earlier in the week, Bosch added to the displays in their range, and it's going to be sitting alongside the current Intuvia, Purion and Neon systems. It's called the Kiox, and there's a load of super neat features and controls on this system. Now, the first thing I need to point out that it's going to be sitting in the middle of the handlebar on top of the stem, and it's super compact. The features that it's got is amazing. Such things as distance, time, rider watts, cadence, speed, tripometer, time, heart rate. The list simply goes on, and they're really cool features you can use on the trail or when you get back home to measure your ride. So there you go, Kiox, fresh from Bosch. Box components from Anaheim, California have got a new e-bike specific drivetrain system. It's made up of 4 specific parts. The derailleur obviously is number 1, the shifter, the cassette is made out of steel, and it's, like I said, it's 9-speed, and that's because that gives it increased durability and also the cadence involved in e-biking. But the key thing is the chain. It's a heavy duty chain, and that's really quite crucial when it comes to e-bike parts, because the high turnover, the high mileage you do with e-bikes. So they're interested to keep an eye on box components and how this system develops. The Brose Drive S Mag, quite a big impact here at the Eurobike show. 15% lighter, 15% smaller, and you can actually see the difference between the old casing and the new casing. It goes from 3.4 kilograms down to 2.8, so it's a significant saving on weight. Now, when it comes to performance and integration, then look no further than Haibike's e-Performance fly-on system. This is the first time ever for Haibike, and it is simply rammed with details. And I'm going to go through all of these with you, so you might as well sit down and get a cup of tea. Right, let's start off with the heart of the matter, the chassis on this new bike. 4 sizes available, from small through to extra large, and large tall riders will be glad to know that the reach is 497mm on this bike, so caters for everybody. It's a largely carbon chassis, although there are a few alloy parts to it. Some great features though. Up front is an air intake system, which means it's continually cooling the battery when you're on the hoof. 180mm travel for the Enduro version, but they also do an all-mountain version, which is 150mm travel. On the 180 bike here, it's 27.5 front and rear, whereas the all-mountain bike has a 29-inch wheel front wheel and a 27.5 rear. Now, obviously, you guys really want to know about the motor on this bike, and it comes from a little used brand called TQ. Crank length is 160mm. Now, if you look at that, it is super neat, it is super elegant, but the power, it's got 120 Newton meters of torque. It's pretty much next level. So I've talked about the motor, I've talked about the chassis, and now I'm getting into this 20-page booklet on the details involved in this new bike. I can't go through all this in one sitting, so a couple of things. Fully integrated seat dropper, which Haibike have not had before. 630 watt-hour battery, and the battery is chargeable up to 80% in 1 hour. That is absolutely insane. That's one of the fastest charging on the market. Obviously, there's fully integrated cable routing on this bike. Everybody's just jammed around here looking at this bike. Look at them. They're falling over themselves getting involved in it. Now, obviously, you can see that there are lights on this e-bike, and in my eyes, that is absolutely total common sense, because most people are going to be riding this bike in the dark and making most use of it in the winter months as well. 5,000 lumens from that light up front. It's even got lights in the back to remind people how far you are in the distance. Mental. Now, earlier on we talked about the Fazua system on the Focus bike. This time we've got a Lapierre 150mm travel trail enduro bike. So again, it's the same system. You have the battery and the motor, and then you have the cadence and torque sensor, which is located on the bottom bracket here. Now look how neat this bike is. 17 kilograms. That is going to be one of the lightest e-mountain bikes on the market, certainly when it comes to mid-travel. Some great touches when it comes to geometry, as ever, from Lapierre. We've got a 430mm chainstay, super short, 65-degree head angle, and it's available in 4 sizes. The reach on the extra large is 495mm, so it means there's something in there for everybody. Full carbon chassis, front to back. And that's it from Eurobike. It seems that Haibike have totally stolen the show this year. Now, don't forget that if you want to get out and about, check out our e-bike trip in Mid-Wales, just down by here. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Please let us know your comments from Eurobike. And don't forget to subscribe to EMBN if you've not already done so.